Recently, Amy and I got together with a group of tough, smart, opinionated dealers. They also just happen to be women. We talked about how to increase women ridership and women dealership staff. I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. What I'd like to do now is, if we could, let's just go around the horn and just introduce one another, and then we'll talk about some more things. All right, so here's what we should do. Tell me who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been in the business. And Liz, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Liz DeGennaro from Bergen Harley-Davidson in sunny, beautiful, not New Jersey. And I'm owner and general manager since 1986.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Beth, you're up.
I'm Beth Ernst, and I have been with Harley since 2008. I'm a St. Louis girl, but had to move to Idaho to open up a dealership, and then ended up getting back here, and I'm back home with my 45 Italian relatives, so I'm a happy camper.
Excellent, Beth. Thank you. Angie, you're up.
Angie Stewart from Bend, Oregon, and 28 years in the industry. Started in a dealership, went to the motor company, and then I say I'll end my career in the dealership.
and here you are. What dealership did you start at, Angie?
I worked for George Latest up in Spokane, Washington. So Beth, you and Greg ended up buying that store. So
yeah, right on. I had forgotten that. All right, so Karen, you're up.
I am Karen Zora Herzog. I have Prairie Harley-Davidson in Regina, Saskatchewan. Well, actually, we just built our brand new dealership right before COVID hit. So technically, we're just outside of Regina. And we have had it since 1995.
Excellent. To get to Karen's store, this is no kidding. You go to Moose Jaw and make a right.
Well, it depends which way you're coming from. Come on.
All right.
So, this is actually Prairie Harley-Davidson's 85th year in southern Saskatchewan. So we're actually the third oldest dealership in Canada.
Right on. Wow. Good for you.
That's cool.
Okay, Gail Worth, you're up.
Okay, so Gail from Gail's Power Sports in Kansas City, Missouri. And I have been in the industry for 40 years, have owned my own dealership for 21, and I am a happy camper.
Yeah, and Gail and I had a chance to chat this morning, and it was just fantastic. All right, Dia, you're up.
Dia Madison, dealerships in Alaska and in Arizona. So I split my time between the two. And technically, I've been involved in the business for 34 years because that's how old I am. But I've been an owner since 2012 and used to live upstairs at the dealership. My dad started the House of Harley in Anchorage in 1955.
Isn't that something? Wow. And Dia is the only person that I've ever seen during a workshop do a full yoga pigeon pose while we were in the session. Very impressive.
I love it.
And Jill Giglio, please introduce yourself to the group.
Hi, I'm Jill Giglio, outside the Chicago area. We own some dealerships in the Chicago suburbs and up into the Milwaukee area, and been in it for 20 years exactly this year. We bought our very first store, Wildfire, in March of 2001.
Isn't that something? I like the way she underplays it. You know, we have a few stores. She got 50 stores, 400 employees. They do 150 million.
Right.
So, we got a couple of places.
We know.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Hey, but we're mom and pop.
Right.
And of course, Amy Marie needs no introduction, but we'll let her introduce herself anyway. Go ahead, Amy.
Hi guys, Amy Rodgers. I started working in this crazy Harley business in 1991. So good long time.
Can you believe it?
Okay. I've had the honor of meeting all of you. So.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Amy and I were so excited when this thing started to come together. Do you think of yourselves as women dealer principals or simply dealer principals?
Simply
dealer principal.
Dealer principal.
Just simply dealer principals. You don't need that.
Yep.
So let me ask you this then. What is it like to be a woman in the predominantly historically male-dominated Harley-Davidson culture? Beth,
I think it's amazing.
Okay, you think it's amazing. What makes you say amazing, Liz?
Because I can pretty much stop a fight on the showroom floor if I needed to, because we have a lot of clubs around here. I can get in between two customers that are ready to fight and they're not going to do anything to me. I can get in between two men at the store that are ready to get into something and not do anything. They don't have to have bravado with me like they would have with other guys. Customers, they don't care about asking me stupid questions. So I just think it's like been such a gift, and I think it's made it easier for me, actually.
Excellent.
I
Beth,
agree
how
with
about you?
Liz 100%.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, me too. Yep. Well
Okay.
said.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not only that, but it's also running the business itself, because we have all found that men are chivalrous. Men, we can turn to a man for a question and they are there to help us out.
Absolutely.
It's hard for a man to ask another man for advice.
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
I agree with that. We're there for both clientele, the male and the female. And I think there's a better connection sometimes than just a guy with a guy, a guy with a girl. Somehow we kind of can navigate both and all genders. I guess there's not just two anymore. All genders.
Now listen, Jill, that's a whole nother panel discussion.
Yeah.
Can't take that on today. All right, so I want to hear from Beth and then Karen. So Beth, what's your take? What's it like being a woman in a predominantly male Harley-Davidson culture?
I think with the customers, I agree with the ladies for sure. But I think that for an owner, a GM, and a female with Harley-Davidson corporate, I think it is different than being a male. I think that there are times when they have a tendency that I have to really watch sometimes what I say as not only a female, but also as a dealer. You know, the last DAC meeting, I was really surprised that there were a lot of owners that did not put their name on the list instead of putting their name on the list and being who you are, which of course I always put my name on it. So I think that, I don't know if it's just everybody kind of in this unique lack of relationship as a partnership, or if it's possibly women, or if it's just maybe only me.
Okay, interesting. May I ask a point of clarification? When you say put your name on the list, what do you mean?
Like when, people are asking questions. Like we had a seminar for the DAC, and you could tell people were tentative putting, their name. It came
Okay.
up.
So they want it to be anonymous. Interesting. I want to go to Karen and then Dia. So Karen.
Yeah, I think I agree a lot with what everybody is saying. I think as women dealer principals, we do have a good relationship with our customers. I think a lot of our customers, if we do have an issue, will listen for the exact same reasons that everybody is saying. I feel in Canada, we have a lot of strong women dealer principals and leaders. And I think in Canada, we do, within our DAC, get some really nice respect, and people do listen to us. I know our district manager often will call me before anyone else just to work through things or ask questions. Not entirely sure why, but maybe just because he knows things are going to get done.
Yeah, well, I know why. You're smart. Dia, how about you? Now, Dia, what's fascinating about you is you know nothing else.
Yeah, I know, right? Really, I think that I agree with everything that they're saying, but I think if you look at this panel, you'll kind of get the vibe that we're all similar in a lot of ways, that we're outspoken and forward. And I think that that's why we're successful as women in power sports.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. All right, so let me ask you this then, a kind of a related question. What is the most surprising old school bias that you continue to encounter, and how do you handle it?
So, can I start with that one? I want to just go back to what Beth was saying. Is I think there's definitely an all boys club going on at Harley Corporate, and I don't feel like I'm a part of it. And to tell you the truth, I don't care. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't really care. But if there's backroom deals going on and then I'm not a part of that, I may not love that. But there's definitely, you know, I think they want to hear more so from some of the men than they do from the women. And sorry, here at my store, you know, they're going to hear from me more than they're going to hear from any of the guys that work here. And, you know, I have a woman DM, which is great. And she does the same thing with me as she does with you, Karen, where she, you know, she gives me some insider information or asks my opinion because I am so, you know, demure and quiet. No, just kidding. You know, and I say my mom, hey, Mark, you're laughing a little too much there.
I couldn't hide it.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Other thoughts. Are you still facing any like old school biases out there?
Well, what I face is really, I think the only thing that issue I can see at all is people thinking that maybe I'm not really the one who runs a dealership. There must be a man behind it. You know, my boyfriend is really his dealership and he just lets me run it, sort of thing. Even though he's my boyfriend, there's no way a boyfriend would let you do something like that. But you know, something like that. Or my dad.
How do you handle that when you're getting that vibe or the customer says it outright? How do you handle it, Gail?
Well, oftentimes usually I just go with it. I just let them think it. I don't care. It's no skin off my nose. I just let them run their mouth and talk about who the owner. Oftentimes people talk to me about the owner.
Yeah.
You know, they can't wait to meet Gail.
Yeah.
Gail.
Yeah.
And so
you pull them over to the sign and point. Dia, what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I still get people that are like, well, her dad gave it to her, or her dad still owns it and she just runs it. I mean, it's constant. You know, he's living in North Carolina right now. He's not even involved. But you know, I usually do the same thing as Gail, just let them run with it. And I always love when they come in, they're like, oh, I'm really good friends with Di, the owner.
Yep.
You know, they like mispronounce my name and they're like, they're like, oh, sure you are.
Okay.
yeah, I'm looking right at you saying that. It's funny.
All right, that's hilarious. So now we'll get more to the pith of the matter. So what do we stand to lose in the Harley network or in the industry if we do not increase women ridership? What do we really stand to lose? Jill?
That's a great question. Well, obviously, I think all women should feel welcomed into the sport of ridership. And so I think if we don't welcome women and don't have women, then obviously it's all going to shrink. It's just going to go back to these, you know, retired guys riding around on motorcycles. Right. You know, I think we need to, we keep breathing in a new breath of life, not just with women, but with all ages, all occupations, all races and all that kind of stuff. It really, you know, I want to be like Honda where it's like, ha, Honda, and it's for everyone and a family thing. Right. Actually, we always kind of take the stance that Harley-Davidson isn't for everybody. It really isn't. Like, for instance, I might be kind of the odd man out here, but every time I tell people that one of my hobbies, my greatest passions is fly fishing, they go, really? It's kind of the same thing with motorcycling. And then when they say, well, what do you do? And I say, I'm a motorcycle dealer and I ride motorcycles, then I'm really out there. Yeah. So same with fly fishing. I don't expect every woman that I talk to, like, hey, come out fishing, you know, jump in the river with me, throw your waders on, let's go. I don't expect that. And I don't expect the same with motorcycling. However, I think we just need to encompass that it's very welcoming for everybody and just really get in there because frankly, it really is empowering. I remember, literally, I'm sure everyone remembers the first time I actually rode a motorcycle, and I totally remember it. I felt like I climbed Mount Everest. I don't know what that feels like, but it had to be close. So I think it's empowering. I think it builds your confidence. You know, I remember when we first bought Wildfire and people said, well, what do you ride? And I'm like, on the back. I'm like, I'm never saying that again. I will never say that again. And it got me, so I got my license. So I think it's empowering. And I think we would lose that. And the whole well-roundedness I think women bring to this whole sport of motorcycling inside the dealership. I really do. I think we would just lose tremendously and just go back to like old guy club thing that I think we're well past.
Excellent.
In this generation.
Thank you. And I had forgotten that you were a fly fisher person. Angie, what are we going to lose if we don't increase women ridership and fast?
I agree with Jill. I think we need to be welcome and opening because, you know, women control a lot of the household and we all see that. And, if we aren't welcoming to them or make them feel a part of it, then they're just going to steer whoever they're with in a different direction and away from motorcycling. So I still see a lot of that as a female. It's great to be out on the sales floor because, you know, we're drawn to each other a little bit, or there's a little bit more trust even when you don't know someone. And I see a lot of females drift my way, and it's just easier for them to get them on the bike and kind of a comfort level, and they feel like they can ask questions and they're not as intimidated and whatnot. So I think that interaction with, you know, female owners in the store, female staff, I think is really important.
Excellent. Hold that thought, because we're going to take on the topic of female staffing in just a little bit. Other thoughts? What do we stand to lose if we don't increase female or woman ridership fast?
Well, I think we lose a major area of demographic. Female are half, or not more, of half of the population, and why wouldn't we be tapping into that? And I think in trying to have people come in, I think Dia could probably relate to this. I've been in and around the motorcycling industry also my entire life, and I've always ridden. And I think we forget how intimidating it is for other people because we've been around it and we're very comfortable with it. And, you know, the odd time I'll have someone who I think is a very confident woman rider say, you know, the first time I came in, I was scared out of my mind to come into a dealership. And I'm thinking, wow, you were scared? I didn't think you would ever be scared of anything. And so we just need to keep that in mind, women and even men sometimes, the intimidation factor of coming into a dealership.
Okay, so
That's
now
a really great point. That is still very alive these days.
I agree. You know, if you take the average person out there, they're very intimidated to come. They still think we're eating raw meat on the counter kind of thing, you know.
Key is not to categorize females as a female riding group. I mean, we don't categorize men, you know, when we're looking at all the personalities of males as a male riding category. So you have to really look at each individual woman and where they are in that process of buying a bike or feeling out what it's all about, you know, or they've ridden for a long time, but they never found a home, you know, that really embrace them to get them to ride more or feel good about riding. But I think at times we have a tendency to look at the quote female rider as just one category instead of all this array. Look at all of us of women.
No.
And I think that when you have so many men as salespeople, which they have to learn how to relate for sure, or we've lost that. And you have to really listen. It's also listening to their journey, not my journey.
Excellent point. So we're individuals and not a block. Okay, so then let's shift to what do we need to do to attract more women riders? What do we have to do in our promotion? What do we need to do in our marketing? What do we need to do with our products? What do we need to do in our processes so we can attract more individuals and women riders?
I want to say in my store, I don't think we have that much of a problem, but I'm in a very metro area. So, you know, we accept everybody because everybody's money's green. We have plenty of women that work here, but I will say it is difficult to find a woman, even in this area, to work in the service department, to work in the sales department. I have had women salespeople, but I have not had one for a long term. Like a lot of my men salespeople, they're here for a very long time. The women don't, they come and go. So maybe that really is a problem for me. And then there's no women in the parts department, which is also another bizarre thing. But it's not out of a lack of trying to hire women, but I do find it a little more difficult to hire women that are especially, thank you, come over here. Come here. So I just want to say, this is my daughter. She has been here just like you, Dea, since she was born.
Hey, how are you?
This is Lexi. And one day she'll be taking over this place too, to kick some ass. Sorry.
Isn't that something? Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
So then let's go with that theme, and then we'll go back to consumers. Is anybody else having a hard time finding women salespeople? Women salespeople. Dia, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen how successful it is having a female on the sales floor, and it's been a struggle. Like, it's not like I never like try to hire a specific gender, right? So like anybody can apply. I'm not specifically going out there, but I often say it'd be so great if we could get a girl on the sales floor. And sometimes we can do that, transition them from motor clothes or, parts or something into the sales department. But it has proven to be, you get the guys that want to flirt with the cute girl, or you get the girls that are more comfortable talking to another woman. And it does help. And I think us being in leadership roles, if we're able to be on the floor, helps, kind of fill that void without having those employees. But for me, I'm back and forth between Arizona and Alaska every 2 weeks. So I'm not on the floor nearly as much as I would like to be.
Right.
I think in our situation, being a smaller dealership, everybody in the dealership needs to be able to go on the floor and talk to customers and talk about bikes. And our GM girls, my daughter also works here and has been here life, and she can sell bikes like a champ for the exact same reason. She can go on the floor, she can talk about riding, she's respect as a result of that. And I think a lot of women and men enjoy that.
Okay, excellent. So small
think,
store, people are wearing many hats, and people are moving back and forth. Other thoughts about women in sales positions, finding or attracting them to work for you in that particular role?
I'm pretty lucky. I've got a full 50% of my entire staff is female.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, it's crazy. But you know what? What happens is, I think it's one of these birds of a feather flock together thing or whatever. That we're able to attract women with the women that we have. And so it just keeps on coming. So when somebody falls off, then then that person is replaced with a woman so often. And so we have a lot of women. And so we have a lot of women riders. I don't see a problem with women ridership at all. But then I bet that none of us do. I mean, just because we are women leaders in our areas. And so I think that we just attract women naturally. But I think that having so many women who work here helps that a ton.
Yeah. Let me take this conversation to Jill. So Jill, you 400 people are working with you. How about you in finding women in sales positions? Has that been a challenge for the Windy City Fox group, or have you guys surmounted that?
No, it seems to be a little bit of a challenge. We can find them, but are we getting the good ones?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, sometimes we get the women, because they ride, they think that they can sell. And sometimes that's not very true. Or sometimes you get the ones who can sell, but they don't know how to ride. And to take that marriage, of both who, understand the lifestyle of motorcycling, but then also can sell is kind of the trick. We kind of seem to get one or the other. So we try, and I agree, we try to be a great influence on the floor. I'm out there all the time. And like everyone said, I think it's a lot easier to talk to women. Sometimes I'll have some of the girls come up to me like, which one's the Sportster? They would never probably ask a guy that, perhaps. I don't know, maybe they would. But I think one of our better moves was getting female into F&I. That is, I think, brought a level of comfort in that room and increased per copy. I think there's just a little bit more of I don't want to sound biased here, but a little bit more a trust factor, perhaps, having a female in the F&I chair. Yeah. I don't know. So that part helps that we have that F&I, then we have them out there walking around and selling as well. Backing up the salesmen. So it's not just such a male dominated, sales floor.
Yeah. That particular position does sort of have a female bias to it. Women often gravitate to that role. They often accelerate in that role. That's interesting. Other thoughts about attracting women to work in any role in your dealership? Why can't we get more and keep more?
One thing that we did is that we had a motor clothes manager that was definitely a rider. She was a little nervous about sales, but I knew she could do it, even though she didn't know if she could do it. And she was already making good money as a motor clothes manager.
Yeah.
So by securing that dollar figure to her so that she could be trained, I'm not saying it takes longer for women. Yeah, I think it takes long to train people anyway, to really get behind that person to make sure that they feel that they're ready and feeling really groomed to really do what they're supposed to do. And by guaranteeing her that money and for so many months, and then we would review it to make sure she was still getting that income she had been getting for the last 3 years helped. Because you go to just, okay, we're going to, so much for salary and so much for commission, it's hard to deal with. And a lot of women, they're single. A lot of women are single. They have families. They have a lot of things going on. So I think you have to look at all of that too.
That same thought process that Beth is bringing up, you bring up some good points there, Beth. But I think that the way the ad sounds, I think that helps me a lot. And that's what I put in the ad, that would you like to grow with our company? We have room for growth. And talk about how there is no ceiling. And when we get people coming to talk to us about employment, they bring that up a lot. Where do I get to go from here? Where can I move from here? Sort of thing. So I think that's very important to women, is the growth. I think men say, oh man, I'm going to go sell. But yeah. I think that women think, okay, now what's my next step after this?
Interesting.
Yeah, we do a lot of cross training. When I work, one of the things I learned from George when I worked for him was we were in a seasonal business because we were up in the north. And in the wintertime, we did a lot of cross training. And so coming into this store, we're focusing on the same thing. And that's really helped us. We have a gal in our clothing department, and she wanted to learn how to ride. And so she went and took the class, and then we took her out, sales guys took her out, and we have a big parking lot, and kind of working with her and getting her more and more comfortable. And then she cross-trained in a couple of areas. And so we're just we call it growing our own, from the inside out. And that's worked really, really well. And it's gotten her so much more comfortable, even just talking in general, going over to the sales floor, or if she's over there and someone starts to engage, she can engage. And so that's been really fun to kind of watch and see happen. And we have a female salesperson. She was in our sales department, then went to clothing, then left us for a little bit. Now she's coming back again this spring. But so it hasn't been a challenge for us, but I really think that whole growing from within and cross-training thing has been really helpful here.
And I think, Angie, this is Robin that just popped in, my daughter.
Hey, Robin.
And
Hi.
Exactly with what you were saying, Robin's been around her whole life. She started working with GM, then is managing GM, just recently finished her business degree, and is now working with our controller and is going to be doing more of that, but also does very well in sales. So I think
That's awesome.
cross training as a whole, as you're saying, I think is important, and just to create an environment where women are comfortable cross.
Wow. So you're a triple threat, aren't you, Robin? Excellent. Good for you.
So yeah.
Okay. So are there any unique aspects to retaining women employees that perhaps there aren't with men?
I don't know. I find men have a little more drama in their lives than the women I work with.
I was going to say that too. I was going to say maybe more flex hours, but no, the men need flex hours too. They have kids. They got to go to school events and whatever. I don't think we have any. We have less drama, I think, with the women, and less issues. They just seem to come to work on time and stay late if they need to without a problem.
All right, Beth, what were you going to say?
Point about the family, boy, is that relevant.
Mm-hmm.
In our time, with everything that's gone on with COVID last year, no matter what, we've all been affected. So people have had lots of time to think about their family, where they are. And I think by all of us really gelling and understanding, whether it's a male or a female or a brand new detailer or whatever, they're going through something very major. And we have to bend for those games that they have to go to, or something that is important because they have to go do something for their mom that afternoon. And everybody kind of balances and pitches in. That is really a true family.
Yep.
You know, if we don't start it, I've always said, if we don't start it within our own dealership, that and have those customers feel that, how will the customers really know that? So we're all going to have to do this, and it's not going to go away when COVID goes away. It's all going to be part of where we are. And to me, life is way more interesting that way. Instead of just, okay, here's the thing, this is what you got to do. I mean, who wants to work like that anymore? I sure don't.
Right.
Yeah, Beth,
that-
you've always treated everybody like a family in there. I felt that when I worked with you guys up in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. You talking about COVID and trying to help people. We've had homeschooling here in our work or our gather meeting rooms or whatever for some of the younger gals that had kids at home during COVID. That it was such a struggle, and we're like, no, just bring them in and we'll figure it out. And everybody just kind of embraced it, and it wasn't a lot, but it was helpful.
Okay, that's fair. So a couple of things. I was going to say the same thing. This is what Beth is known for, creating this family environment. And then I was going to say, even here in 2021, doesn't the lion's share of childcare responsibility still fall to the mom? For whatever reason, in many relationships, doesn't it?
I'm going to say at my dealership, no, because there's plenty of men who they stay home sick first when their kids are sick.
I see.
And I think it's good. Nobody gets made fun of. Nobody is made to feel like they're less than. And we have plenty of men that bring their kids to work because they can't, either they're on off days of school or their kid are sick. And if they're not that sick, we bring them in, we have a place where they can go and hang out. And we were going to do the same thing with during COVID, that we were going to hire a teacher and let all of our staff bring their kids. I put it out to everybody, and I said, we'll do this, and I'll get all the permits and everything I need to do. You just need to let me know if this is the direction we want to go in. And they were all freaking out, like this was the best thing ever. And I thought it would be so amazingly cool to do that.
It is cool. Yeah. Angie, I'm stunned and I can't believe that. I think it's cool. Liz, I think that's just fantastic. Okay. So now then, riddle me this. What advice would you give OEMs, Gail? And what advice would you give Harley-Davidson about what they need to do to attract more women riders? Dia, let's start with you. What do you think Harley needs to do to attract more women riders?
I honestly have always kind of been one of those like anti-feminists. Like I always am like, I'm not going to do a women's only thing. Like, I don't know, just because like, why am I any different than anybody else? Right. So it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I have noticed in Arizona specifically, there's this group and they have like an international female ride day on May 1st but there's like this really active group of women in the Phoenix area, and they have basically embraced the fact that I'm like the only female dealer down there. And so they're doing a ride to Prescott to visit one of my stores, and it just they are such a grassroots free marketing for Harley. And I think we saw the same thing with like Babes Ride Out. And as soon as like Harley tried to make it too corporate, it kind of fizzled out. And I think that's Harley just needs to stay back enough but help facilitate. So, I always say that for us, we facilitate the motorcycle experience in Alaska or in Arizona. We don't always get to participate as much. And I think Harley kind of needs to do that, just help facilitate and bolster those and help them get the word out and not try to make it a corporate event.
So give it a nudge and then hands off. Jill, how about you? What do you think Harley needs to do?
Well, it's $1 million question. I totally agree with what you said. Kind of stay back in terms of like the minute they start getting all too involved, everything just gets all too complicated and it just kind of loses its life. I feel like as dealers, we're very capable of getting the women together and getting them on these big rides. And if we can get some kind of, for lack of a better word, like sponsorship in terms of, we get some other local retailers involved, places we can stop along the way, and end destination, with fun things, for all the women, that's great. And if they could help facilitate that kind of thing. But if they try to take it over, then it becomes all mucky. And I don't know, it just loses its fun.
This is part of what Liz was saying earlier,
But that's exactly it. So I feel exactly the same. And I just think, I don't know, to be a little bit more accommodating to women. I think in our dealerships, we're looking to with the Rider Academy and that just really offer more some, I talk to so many women who are not maybe even in our dealership, but they're like, well, I would do it if my friends could come, or if I did it with some of the neighborhood ladies, or if I did it with, this club I belong with, to do more group riding lessons so that they feel comfort of doing it together, perhaps. I know when I took my lesson, I did it with a bunch of friends that I knew. I think there was a level of comfort there. So that's something I really want to entertain, and or private lessons as you do with golf. Sometimes a lot of the ladies that I talk to, they're like, well, I would do it, but I'm just too embarrassed. What if I fall over? What if I can't hold up the bike? I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. But, I understand their reluctancy. So I think we just kind of need to change the approach with women and getting them in there. And I think even before expecting someone to just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to go learn how to ride, I think we need to really be influencing women a lot more along the way. I don't know, just do some Facebook Lives and things hey, are you interested in the sport? Here's everything you need to know, or questions you want to have, or an open Q&A, or talk to some other female riders. We can tell you what it's like from the front seat with the handlebars. So I think we just need to approach them a little bit differently and make them feel a bit more comfortable in actually getting into the seat in the Rider Academy, instead of just thinking someday they're going to walk in and buy a bike from us.
Okay.
I think go ahead.
I think we're missing a few steps with the motor company, to be honest with you, if that's a shorter version. Sorry. They're missing a few steps.
I think that they've done I certainly think that the motor company has done a good job of pushing it out there. I really do. I think they do a good job with the Riders Academy and the Jumpstart and their garage party. So they've got the right ideas. I'm 100% in with Dia, what she said. I'm anti-women shit, just I really am, but because it really bothers me. But I think that they've done a really good job. It's up to the dealers to take the ball everything that started and just put it out there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to come back to that. Other thoughts? What do you think that the OEMs need to do to encourage more women riders?
I think to let the dealers do it.
Let the dealers do it. Okay. So then.
Yeah, I think it would be good though, if they find best practices, or if a dealer is doing something in particular, to maybe help support that dealer from the backside. And I think there used to be some funds set aside for that, that could be used, or the dealer could kind of apply for it or whatnot. And I think that would be helpful. Let it be led by the dealer, but be there to help support a little bit financially or assets or whatever.
So co-op dollars, or maybe some resources in some way.
Well, I also think that if we had some famous woman out there that's riding, like Jason Momoa, he's not encouraging women to ride, but men definitely want to look like him, and but if we could have a woman out there, I think
we need
in movies and out there promoting Harley-Davidson, I think that would be cool. But I agree, that's all Harley can do. They cannot do events, they can't do any of that stuff. Has to be at the dealer level, because Harley does seem to muck things up when they get involved in it. And at the dealer level, I think we're able to take that ball and run with it and develop it the way we need to develop it in our markets.
And just one more thing on that, we keep talking about the dealers doing it. Guess how many times Harley has ever asked my opinion about how to market to women?
Never.
0.
So, we're doing this right now, and they've never done that.
Yeah. So
great point.
Okay.
And support us when we have an idea that's working. For years, we did a women's only demo day attached to our men's demo day, after realizing that a lot of women said there's no way in hell they would ever ride a bike out of our parking lot in front of all the men on a demo day. So we thought, well, that's not working then. So we hosted for several years the day before, the day after, and it was smaller, but we did get a lot of women coming out, and we had women buying bikes. So we need to have that sort of thing supported if it's something that works in our area.
I think we have to also look at virtual. We had our first virtual riding academy for men and women, so that I have a riding academy manager that is a female, and just to kind of be in your pajamas Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, and find out really what Riding Academy is all about. I think that virtual will be very, very big. I think we're already there, and we don't see that. That's one thing that I feel like Harley-Davidson has not even discussed, shared, best practices, nothing like that. We're all learning on our own on the virtual aspect. And, and people want information.
What do you mean virtual riding academy? Can you explain that?
Yeah, we had, if you want to learn about Riding Academy and you want to hear from the manager, we're going to invite you to a Zoom meeting at 9 o'clock on Saturday. All you have to do is, this is how you register. We're going to easily walk it through for you so that you can, just like what we're doing right here, so you can see the person that is in charge, which is a female for me, and then ask questions. She kind of went over what happens with the Riding Academy, showed the, Street 500, talked about Jumpstart.
So any of the classroom stuff that you would do at your store in your Riding Academy room, you do in a Zoom room.
And we talked about fun. I mean, we are really, that is to me what we all need so much.
Yeah.
In this is fun, okay? Because we haven't had that much fun. I don't know about you guys, but we have not had that much fun.
Yeah, right.
It used to be. So how do we create that fun for those customers? And so we ended up having our first one. We're going to keep on doing it, once a month. Do a parts one.
Yeah,
Look, and everyone's going to get familiar with the camera and the Zoom and feel at home. And, we even had a customer that had to sign up at another place because we were full on our Riding Academy, but they didn't have a jump start to help that customer. So they called us up, asked us if we would do it, and we said, of course, we will help you. And we did that. Now, will that hopefully give me a bike sale? Probably, okay?
Well,
but the other one, didn't even have it set up. So I think we really need to think out of the box.
Okay, excellent. So this is a great spot. So here's what I want to do. Let's capture the horsepower that is on this call. Let's come up with a list of specific tactics that dealers can employ to increase female ridership and increase female staff members. No holds barred. Go ahead, and I will write as fast as you can talk. What do we need to do?
Create an environment respectful to women.
Okay, so create a respectful to women environment. Can you give me one example?
I can give you some non-examples.
All right then.
Bikini bike washes.
You beat me to it. That was going to be my big finish.
No bikini bike washes.
No bikini bike wash?
Just try to lose some of the old school patriarchal ideas of what Harley riding is.
Yeah. What's your position on the naughty Santa's helper?
Yeah.
Go do it. All right. So create an environment that is respectful to women. And here's an example. No bikini bike washes. Good. Give me another.
I think, as women leaders, I kind of always just don't want to self-promote. And, I think Gail does a great job of I don't want to make it sound prideful, but a great job of being out there and self-promoting and everybody knows Gail, and I think that we should be more available to customers and to women. And I think it's great, like just doing a Q&A. I wrote that down, like, wouldn't that be fun? Like just a live Q&A, get one of the women's riding groups to, you know, host it and just do it on Zoom or on Facebook Live or whatever.
That's a great idea.
Being out there and giving testimony.
Okay,
Love that idea.
So Dia, we've got two here. You want to be more self-promoting, you know, because my mentor taught me that if you do not blow your own horn, there's not going to be any music. And
that's exactly right.
And
I'm
I think
always
that,
out there, like Dia says, I'm always talking about, I ride, I'm out there riding. And when I am out riding, I do a Facebook Live and me on my motorcycle. Even if all I do is ride from work, I'm home to work, and it's like, I rode all day long. It's like 20 minutes.
And it's funny that this topic is coming up because the research shows that men have a tendency to overestimate their abilities, and women have a tendency to underestimate their abilities.
That's
so
true.
For example, you know, if a woman's going to run a marathon, you know, most guys will be able to run 18 or 20 miles, then they run the 26, you know. Women will want to be able to run 28 miles before they take on the marathon length, you know.
True.
Okay, then Dia, the next thing that I heard from you was we should do live Q&As on social media like Facebook Live. So it's, I'm Dia Madison, I own Anchorage Harley-Davidson, ask me anything. Oh, a Reddit AMA. Okay, good. What else? What else can we do to increase female or woman ridership?
Community involvement.
Yeah, give me an example.
For example, you know, if there's something local or if there's something bigger, you know, there's women's groups all over that you could talk to. We've had the Chamber of Commerce, I'm sure all of you guys have, where, you know, I speak, you guys speak, and then I also make sure that people know I am here, especially for female business owners or anybody that is in the crowd that wants to just talk about what their aspirations are. And I think by getting involved with the community, it really helps. Firemen, policemen, doing everything that is our core for you know, community involvement, I think really helps with both the females and just future sales.
All right, thank you. So speaking at getting involved in the community and finding organizations for you to actively go and talk and promote. Talk about Harley history, talk about Harley business, Harley. Okay, good. Give me another tactic that we can use to grow female ridership.
I think
Well, I still like the idea of really promoting cross training inside the store to bring more females throughout the store. I mean, when I started in this industry, I didn't know anything about Harley-Davidson except there were big ones and little ones, and I was a part-time bookkeeper. And when they moved me over to service, the service department, I didn't know if I was going to like that, and I loved it. I had so much fun, you know, growing up through the service department and then the rest of the store. And I think that there are a lot of women out there that don't really necessarily know that. And the gal that, you know, we helped learn to ride in our clothing department has worked in our bookkeeping department now. We talked about moving her over into service just to branch out and see if there are other interests across the store, and then just keep regenerating that cycle throughout, no matter what department that they start in.
Excellent. I love cross training. And then Gail, let's also add your point about pointing out that you can grow in your position here. The sky's the limit. How did you put that?
Come grow in our dealership. There is no glass ceiling.
Come grow with us.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Additional tactics.
And, you know, okay, so I'm going to go back to something that Beth was talking about a minute ago when she was talking about the community outreach, going out into the community. And then when you said, go ahead and talk about Harley-Davidson.
Yeah.
It's not just Harley-Davidson. We as the business owners need to talk about our dealerships. And I know that we're talking about Harley-Davidson as a whole, or the power sports as a whole, whatever, but we need to talk about the fact that we need to take advantage of the fact that we are women and we own these dealerships. And it's not like you wear a women hear me roar, but we want women to follow us and to feel good about us. And we want those men to bring their daughters in to meet us. And so let's go out there and talk about us as business owners. And we are powerful business owners, and you just want to be with us. You just want to hang out with us.
So cast a
because
wider
we're cool.
net is what you're saying. Yeah,
Yes.
got it. Right on.
Yeah, and then when it comes time to find a job, when someone's looking for a job and they find out that our dealerships or our businesses are looking for help, then they hear and go, oh yeah, you know what? She's probably pretty cool to work for. Beth, you should go talk to Gail because she's looking for somebody and I think you can do it. And it's just not just Harley-Davidson. Then the Harley-Davidson stigma, the whole, intimidation is not there because it's all about, it's all about Angie or it's all about Beth, whatever it's, and I think it makes a big difference to know that it's your business.
Okay, excellent. So far we've got create a more respectful environment to women, like no bikini bike washes. It's okay to be more self-promoting. We should be talking about ourselves as women dealer principals. We could perhaps do live Q&A from this angle on social media like Facebook Live or Reddit AMAs. Community involvement. Find women's groups or first responders groups and talk about the topics of motorcycling or Harley, or from a larger, more general business perspective, what it's like for women in leadership positions. We can develop and retain women in our stores by promoting cross-training and exposing them to more jobs and more skills. This is Angie's point. Now, then we were talking about how we can come grow with us. So dovetailed onto Angie's idea, how there's no glass ceiling here. The sky is the limit. It's up to you. Your career is up to you. Good. What else?
Maybe we could, I'm just thinking of this as we're going, just highlight our women customers who ride. Maybe just do a quick little post saying, hey, this is Sherdine and she's an RCMP officer and she's ridden for X years and this is what she rides, kind of thing.
That is a fantastic idea. So on your website, in your newsletters, on your social media, do a customer corner, a rider profile, and for a little while anyway, have the pendulum swing to more women riders.
I like what Gail said too on the dealership. I want to get back to that because also what we're talking about is promoting our own dealership with the customers, with riders. So you can invite people in. We invite people into even that are riders with bikes and have them put on our new clothes to show off those clothes or show off parts or show off the bike and put that on Facebook and put their names in it. And sometimes it's not their bike. Yeah. It's even a new bike that we're trying to promote, and we get it all, and I give them a t-shirt afterwards and they're always like, thanks for doing this. Then they share it, they tag and on it goes. But I could see really doing that with maybe just females, and doing it, whether it's once a week, maybe it's with their bike, maybe it's a new bike, getting their feel on a new 2021 after a test ride and show the females doing that. I think the more we get it out there with videos and Facebook and social media, the better.
Yeah, and what I like here is making the customers the hero, or the potential customer the hero. Yeah, Liz, what do you got?
We did two really cool things. I knew somebody who had a Girl Scout troop, and they made a special badge for them. All the Girl Scouts came here and they changed oil and the filter on the motorcycles, and they got a badge for that. So instead of their automotive badge, they got a different one, but it was the same sort of thing. So that was really cool. And then in 2018, when we did the last Custom Kings, we went to one of the high schools around here, and we got 4 kids from the high school that had the propensity for this, and we brought them in, and they're the ones who helped design and build the Custom Kings motorcycle. The cool thing was there was 4 kids on this thing, and 2 were girls and 2 were boys, And the boys were constantly unprepared, and the girls were over prepared each and every time. So on our videos that we put out on Facebook, the girls were prepared. So they were speaking more, and they were out there, and it was the coolest thing. But I hate to say it didn't go anywhere after that. And I thought that was going to get a lot of legs, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my fault, because maybe I should be going back to that high school and showing them. They did come here, but going back to that high school and showing them all the trophies that we got, because we came in second in the whole country for Custom Kings. And these two girls help us design it.
Yeah, and that's kind of back to the point, right? That we can't put our success in somebody else's hand, right?
True.
So we've got to seize it ourselves, right? We can't wait for the motor company to do it,
No.
right? All right, excellent. What are other ideas? And I've got just time for one or two more. Other ideas for takeaways? Love the Girl Scout oil change badge. Oh my God, never thought of that.
It was cool.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's
I
rad.
keep thinking too, I want to take a group of our women customers in a variety of ages, races, whatever. And then similar to like what we're doing here with the Zoom and all the little squares, I keep picturing our next advertising being in marketing being each one who joins the Zoom, it's their name and what they do, what their occupation is. It might be a nurse, it might be a school teacher, they might be a doctor, they might be a top exec, it might be, so it's their name, their occupation, and what they ride. So then at the very end, you start filling all these squares with all of these different women doing all these fabulous things out there. But the one thing that unites them, obviously, is the Harley-Davidson. But I think what it would do is show all these women out there, they're like, well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, I'm not sure I should do that. Or the top exec who thinks she may not have time. I mean, get such a variety on there coming into these little squares. And then at the end, you show them all like leaving a pack ride that says like, come, we invite you to come join our Zoom, or something like that, like, for room.
That's fantastic.
Great idea.
So to show them to ease, try to get like such a variety of age, race, occupation, and let them know like, you can do this. We're not special. Just because we own the dealership doesn't make us any better or worse than anyone else. This happens to be our livelihood. You have yours, I have mine, you have yours, you have yours. We're all united in this by the motorcycle.
Love that.
You know what, Jill? You know what you could do? You could
Thanks, Gail.
create a page. You could create a page on your website.
And you're in it, Gail, for sure.
That you could create a page on your website that has this sort of a gallery, right? The close up, just like we're looking at now. But when you click on it on your website, it reveals them with their bike. They introduce themselves and they say something fun about themselves and something fun about motorcycling. 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Damn, that's rad. Okay, what in conclusion?
You got some smart girls here, Mark.
In conclusion, what closing advice? Zoom ride ad. Hang on, I got to scratch that down. What closing advice would you give to other dealers who perhaps are watching this video to increase their female ridership or increase the numbers of female staff members that they have? Final pieces of advice.
I think the number one thing is to remember the power of the purse. Okay, so everyone says they remember it, but the woman gets to decide where the man buys his bike, regardless whether she's the one buying the bike or not for herself. She is the one buying the bike. It's her. I mean, if he's looking for a motorcycle, he don't get to buy it unless she says okay, and he gets to buy it where she says she's comfortable. And so that's it. Wherever she goes, remember to speak to her as much as you speak to the man.
Okay, so understand the dominant influencer in the relationship in terms of discretionary spending. Got it.
Yep.
Good. Others. Final advice.
I think we have a lot of women coming into our dealership to ride, but we are not taking the time to get into their world. I think you have to first make sure that everyone, male and female, nobody can say, oh, you've got that one. I don't, she's a woman. I think that everybody has to make sure that not just us as female, we're more in tune to it. See, we're all more in tune to that. But other dealerships are possibly not as in tune. So they have to listen and look and make sure that the training for both female and male are understanding where that rider is that is female. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to interject real quick because Beth has brought this up twice, and I think that's a really good point that needs to get across to the motor company and the dealers and everybody else out there, is that it's not just the group women riders, because there's a group of women riders, and some women riders like to ride, balls out all the time, and some women like to tour, and some women just like to go back and forth to work. There's as many different women as there are different riders, period.
Right.
Passengers. I mean,
That's another one.
Passenger. But does that degrade me? Because some passengers feel like, degraded because, they're not. So no, you have to make sure everyone feels that they're being listened to and really, it's like the king and queen. You have to make sure that each person is the king and the queen, not just the king.
I think you just have to treat everybody, man, woman, black, white, Hispanic, everybody as a person, and they have their own story. Yeah. So nobody fits into a box. Mm-hmm. So I just say you take everybody at face value and be open and invite them in.
Totally agree. And just because if a husband and wife or a guy girl come in together, it doesn't immediately assume oh, she's going to be on the back. I just think that's the part that really is wrong these days. You just have to assume. Maybe she's there to buy the bike. Absolutely. Maybe he doesn't even want one. She's the one who wants to ride. You don't know who you're talking to. You get the 80-year-old lady coming in and she's not buying one for her grandson. She's buying it for her. You never know. So agreed. You just treat everyone equally and everything's good.
Yeah, I think the
I don't think there has to be all the split stuff all the time.
The segmentation. Yeah.
Right.
I think one of the best qualities a salesperson can have is truly being curious about other people.
Yes, me too. And caring. You have to be caring, because if that comes through in a heartbeat, if you're not a caring person and you're a faker and you're pretending to be the caring person, you have to be involved and care about people. Otherwise, you're not going to be a good salesperson. You're going to lose it.
Yep.
Okay. Closing thoughts. Going
Lead
once.
by example. Get out and ride.
Lead by example. Get out and ride.
That's
Good.
the best.
That is the best. In fact, we should probably end on that. Listen, Amy and I want to thank you. We so enjoyed this time together. It was just terrific. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to output this video. We're going to send it to Dealer News, and they're going to do whatever they want with it. So there you have it.
Are we going to get, you took a lot of notes, Mark. Can you please send us an email of the things?
I can, and I will, and I shall, and I'm not promising when you're going to get it. You'll get a copy of these notes, and you'll get a copy of the link of the video so you can show your friends. All right, so don't be strangers.
Don't give them to our competitors either.
No, never.
Right.
Okay.
So nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you, ladies.
Hey guys, thanks so much for hosting this, Mark.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Friday.
Our pleasure. Okay, now go sell something.
Keep riding. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
When Michelangelo sculpted David, it's been said that people asked, "How did you carve such a figure from a stone?" The sculptor is said to have replied, "I simply cut away all that was not David." Maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe we simply need to remove what doesn't contribute to the acceptance of all people. As Karen stated, maybe it's not what we do, but what we don't do. Something to think about. Now, go sell something to someone.